So last time we were talking about attacking the check, and one of the ways we were talking about that was using the crescent kick, or the inside crescent kick, as shown here by Yuki Yoza. Pow. A lot of different names. Inside crescent kick, Uchimo Oshigeri, the inside wraparound kick. Comes up from this side, whips back in on this side. Very common in Yuki Yoza's fights. You can watch his K1 run, loads of it there. We've talked quite a lot about Cyril Gane and Nasruddin Imavov in MMA. They've been having a lot of success with a front kick to the body that they turn outwards. They do it from an open stance, and if you turn it outwards, it makes it quite hard to parry in. Leon Edwards did it to Colby Covington as well. But a lot of people use the Uchimo Oshigeri or the inside crescent kick as like a standalone, this'll surprise them attack. And really there's some nice room to build it into combinations. So here's Norichaka Tsukamoto, who is a Kyokushin world champion, using one to knock someone down. An old Yuki Yoza, he's a combination fighter, so he's got some nice ideas to play with off it too. Inside crescent kick, left hook, step out the side into southpaw. Inside crescent kick, step back into left hook. And then he's going to do the old Tyson two-step. He's orthodox when he's standing in front of his man here, but if he moves slightly that way, so that this foot ends up about there, he's going to be in southpaw. And throws the left low kick from the outside there. This is quite a common Kyokushin look generally, stepping out to the side that you want to throw the low kick from. So if you wanted to throw a right low kick here, you step out this way first. You step this foot to here, and then you swing the right kick around that way. Or in this case, he steps his right foot into here and swings his left kick around that way. It's a nice way to it's a nice way to try and get behind the guy's check, and to get offline as you throw your kick. And if you weren't familiar with the Tyson shift thing that I was talking about there, here's Mike Tyson doing it against Buster Mathis Jr. Closes in an orthodox, steps out the side, ends up in southpaw, throws a right hook up the center. I mentioned last time that Superlek likes stealing things from people, so there he is doing the inside crescent kick. Wapa. But that knee does cause some trouble in this fight. So here's an element of attacking the check that links into another part of Yuki Yoza's game, the Yoza kick. The Yoza kick is a front kick with the ball of the foot to the opponent's rear leg. Like so. Now you'll notice it looks a lot like a right low kick to the outside of the lead leg, so Superlek picks his leg up to check and gets blasted in the back thigh. And the great thing about these is that they've existed for like 30 years, and only now are people realizing how damaging they are. And a lot of Yuki Yoza's work is pushing into the inside space, throwing left hooks to the body and head, and then landing the Yoza kick hard on the back leg. It's kind of an infighting technique a lot of the time. But then sometimes he'll go southpaw and step in with a long rear leg kick to the opponent's rear leg, and that gets him into exchanging range, which is quite nice. So here's another example of it looking like the low kick and going straight to the back leg instead. Boom, straight under the check there. And again here, straight underneath. Boom. There's more to say about Yoza attacking the check generally. That inside crescent kick is a common feature in his fights, but also going southpaw, throwing the left kick, getting the guy to pick up his leg, and then going into a back kick from a southpaw. That's quite a common Yoza look. Works especially well if this guy checks with his rear leg instead of cross-checking with his lead leg. Let's talk about a couple of Superlek successes / looks in this fight. Axe kick there randomly. We talked about the stance comparison. Yoza on both feet. Superlek very much heavy on the back leg, light on the lead leg. And what that means is that when Yoza steps in, Superlek can very easily pick this up and put it straight into the hip crease, which is really, really annoying. Like that. The problem you can have is getting onto the front foot, because obviously if you want to punch, you've got to be on your front foot. You can't punch standing on your back leg like this. So here Superlek uses a classic combination. I'm not going to say it's like groundbreaking, but it's something you should be familiar with if you watch any Muay Thai, or if you want to watch any Muay Thai. the fake teep slash not extended teep into jab into low kick. And what you can see happens in that combination is that Superlek goes from heavy on his back foot to placing it down over here and stepping into that low kick. He's going to place it down here as he pushes the jab out, normally to physically keep the space between you and the opponent, and then slam in the low kick because he's managed to transfer his weight onto his lead foot. Now, there's a million ways to fight in Muay Thai, but if you want to fight very light on the lead foot and open yourself up for that teep and also to sort of counter switch kick, this is a very useful combination if the opponent starts shelling up and not running onto your teep. So Borkow used to use this a lot in his stadium days. So with this light lead foot, we talked about how typically to get going, you have to go onto this forward foot, which means that it can be quite obvious, especially if you want to step forward with a right kick. And Superlek, obviously, very powerful right kick, much like his uncle Singdam. But we talked about this loads, like having a telegraph on a move or a preamble to it isn't necessarily bad because you can use that preamble to disguise or to throw off the opponent. So a Superlek staple is to step forward, hip pump, and then jab instead. Like that, and get in close. So he fakes the low kick with a transfer of weight here and a big step in, jabs, and comes in with the knee instead. If you watch his fight with Takeru, he does him in with low kicks for a start, but then he really starts to mess up Takeru's timing by pump faking the low kick, jabbing or throwing a 1-2, and then throwing the low kick again after he's punched Takeru in the face. So that right knee from Superlek was becoming a bit of a pain, and there's quite a nice way that Yoza stopped it. There's a technique that Hideyuki Ashihara, who's one of the founders of... he's the founder of Ashihara Karate, which is an offshoot of Kyokushin, but he was one of Masayama's main students, but he called it the gouging knee. And the idea is that if this guy throws a low kick, if you are going to check, you want to pick this leg up, but you want to point the shin out into the kick. If you pick it up and the shin's pointing forwards, you're just going to get kicked off balance, basically. If you're trying to block a kick, that is. But this gouging knee looks like a check, but you pick your leg up and you put your knee straight into their hip joint. As I was saying, hip crease earlier with the teep. So what it does is it looks like this. Like that. So not doing a ton of damage, obviously, but pushing your knee into the guy to stop him in his tracks. And you can do that off a low kick, you can do that off a body kick, you can do it in this case off the knee that Superlek's attempting. And because so much of this sort of like Kyokushin low kicking style that Yoza uses is like an infight with kicks, basically. It allows you to stay in the kitchen, to push into the guy, to push him off balance and set up these cut kicks and things. So here's another one. Smashes him just in the top of the thigh there with that. Pushes him back. Gives him the little calf kick on the low. Those ones, that's like the one that he dropped Kong Napa with. And Pitchdam. Rather than the MMA style calf kick from a mile away, forcing your way up on the guy and hitting him from about there. And here it is again. Just pushes into the hip socket, comes out with the left hook. And a pretty good left hook at that. So I'm not saying secret karate technique, but I am saying if you want to get in and put hands on people, practice going from checking position to putting this knee either into the top of their quad or into their hip socket and pushing them back. One still haven't claimed the first episode, so I think that'll do us for today, but a great fight between two really slick, clever fighters. I've written loads about both on the Patreon, so go check that out, and let me know if there's any other cool striking matches that happened last year that you want to talk about while the UFC is taking a month off. Cheers.